Here, without further ado, I would like to present Jason Waters, Client Solutions Manager for Facebook, to talk to you about mobile strategy. And before I call you to the stage, I remind all of you, speaking of mobile, to download our new Finance Magnates news app. Look for Finance Magnates in your App Store or Google Play Store, but after the presentation. Thank you very much.
So we're on. Everybody can hear me? Yeah, perfect. So hello, everybody. As Erez mentioned, my name is Jason Waters, and I am the Client Solutions Manager in Facebook. I currently look after some of the biggest trading companies across EMEA. I'm super excited to be here today, as are my colleagues in the front row. Before I start and get into the presentation, I would ask yourselves the question, why should I listen? And the reason I think you guys should listen is the world is moving at a phenomenal pace. So too is mobile. But we know that there are a number of challenges that you guys face on a daily basis. So my presentation, I'm going to try and address some of these challenges for you guys. So can you just get the presentation on the screen? I can't. Anyway, the first challenge that we see, oh perfect, thank you. The first challenge that we see across a number of clients in EMEA is the transition to mobile. So, you know, I don't want to say some of you desktop clients are being left behind, but you're certainly struggling, and you're feeling the struggle. Those who are mobile and who are mobile first are reaping the benefits. And some of those clients that we're all aware of today are Uber. Uber are the world's largest taxi company, and yet they don't own a single taxi. They're currently valued at $50 billion US. If we look at Airbnb, these are the world's largest accommodation provider, yet they don't own a single real estate. They're valued at $24 billion US. Now, we understand that with mobile, there comes a number of different challenges that you face, and that is around measurement and tracking. The more devices that we have, the more difficult it is to measure and to measure correctly. We know that over 40% of conversions begin on one device and finish on another. We also know that 15% of all conversions are not attributed to any marketing activity at all. And on top of that, the other challenge you face is discovery. There are so many apps out there. How do you guys make yourselves stand out from the crowd? In the App Store, there are over 1.5 million apps. And in the Google Play Store, there are over 1.6 million apps. And that tiny little arrow there, that's where you guys sit. So how do you make yourself stand out from the crowd? The other challenge with app discovery comes app engagement. How do you get users to engage with your app once they've installed it? We know that 75% of time that is spent among users is spent within the top 4 apps. So these are the challenges that we kind of see across EMEA. But before I address these challenges, I want us all to take a step back and take a step back into the future. March 5th, 2005, the Papal Conclave in St. Peter's Square in Rome. I was still a teenager at this stage, if you can believe it or not. I was studying for my exams, and heck, I barely had access to the internet, let alone a decent mobile device. You know, if you remember back in 2005, we had these horrible type of clamshell type devices with 2 megapixel cameras, which were essentially useless. You know, and if we think of the mobile penetration back then, it was less than 100 million devices. Fast forward 8 years to the Papal Conclave of 2013, and we are greeted with a sea of technology. We are part of once-in-a-moment generation speed of change. You know, there are big shifts in consumer behavior, which have big implications, but also big opportunities for you guys. Quite simply, the world is mobile. And if we think about it, It took TV 67 years to reach 1 billion people. It took the smartphone just 5. Now, this is a big shift, and we nearly missed it, right? But since 2013, our family of apps has grown quite significantly. If we take a look at Facebook, I think somebody mentioned earlier, we have 1.49 billion people who are monthly active users on our platform. 1.3 billion of those users are on mobile. Most recently, Instagram reached 400 million monthly active users. 75% of those users are outside of the US. When we look at WhatsApp, we now have over 900 million monthly active users. And across Messenger, we now sit at over 700 billion monthly active users. And most recently, we reached 1 billion daily active people on Facebook. Think about that. 1 billion people logged into Facebook in a given day. Over 80% of those users logged in through mobile. Now, this is a huge achievement for us, and we're only 1% finished. Question to the room. What's the first thing you guys do in the morning when you wake up? Toilet. Okay, yeah. Brush your teeth. If you're like me, I hit the snooze button a couple of times. But if you're like 80% of the 18 to 44-year-olds, the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning, they check their mobile phone. And I can hear you all laughing there because it's true. Heck, we've even introduced tech-free date nights. That's how bad it's gotten. I'm terrible at it. My girlfriend's terrible at it. If we also look at 15 minutes after somebody's woken up, 4 out of 5 users have checked their smartphone. Now, video is also... Oh, sorry, so just to go back to that slide, all of that information, all of these tech-free date nights, all of the times we check our smartphone throughout the day, accounts for 25% of time spent on mobile. So moving forward, video is another area that we see growing quite significantly on Facebook. On Facebook, we use video to tell emotional stories. And the reason why we tell emotional stories is because people are so connected to their mobile devices. We've gone from 1 billion video views a day to over 4 billion video views every day on Facebook. 75% of those video views happen on mobile. Video, it allows you to reach your customers and feed relevant information into those screens to deliver real business results. Now, some could argue that video may be only used for top of the brand or top of the funnel branding, right? IQ Option came to us and said, look, we want you guys to create as much noise and as much awareness around our current sponsorship of the Formula 4 Championship in Australia. They came to us with a 30-second video, and we said, look, we need to cut this. We need to cut it to 15 seconds. And the reason why we wanted to cut it to 15 seconds is studies have shown that people's attention doesn't span longer than 10 seconds. So we need to capture the attention of users in those first seconds. It's critical when you want to grab their attention.
Speed is a passion. That's when you really feel alive. Reliable platform, my racing car. I choose only the best. IQ Option, ultimate trading experience.
Short and punchy. So, moving on, the rise of mobile and video is powering the shift from text-based communication to visual. Phones have gotten bigger, they're a creative canvas, and they act as a solace position for you guys. And Instagram is a perfect example of tapping into that trend. Now, I mentioned earlier, we have over 400 million monthly active users. 75% of those are outside of the US. And on Instagram every day, over 80 million photos are liked each day. So with Instagram, creativity is accelerating. Here is Plus 500 tailoring their creative in a very neat and simple way within each different market. You know, it doesn't take much to tailor a creative in any given market. It's relevant, and people notice it immediately. So also with Instagram, we launched self-serve globally, not just to achieve your objectives on Instagram, but to achieve them cross-platform too. So it's to achieve more business results. Now, the consequence of this explosion of media, creativity, and consumption leads us to another major shift that we all need to be aware of today. And that is from search to discovery and the rise of feeds. So everything competes with everything. You know, and on mobile, we are given access to an almost infinite amount of content that we have access to every single day. So the things that are being created today aren't just competing with each other. They're competing with everything that's ever been made in history, which is all accessible to us at the push of a button. Now, as the amount of media we have access to is growing, people's attention is linear. You know, and we can't rely on search to make sense of all this chaos. And as a result, new mechanisms are needed to help people discover the content that is most relevant to them. So what does this mean? We cope by curating. We have a newspaper of content that is personal and relevant to me. Newsfeed is a discovery mechanism, and we expect relevant content to come to us. And for traders, Facebook is the most powerful discovery engine that there has ever been. So again, what does this mean? Or what should we think about? Well, if your strategy is people, what are your tactics? What are your tactics to connect them in a world that is dominated by mobile, people, and discovery? The answer? Personalization. Mobile is the new kind of creative canvas that starts with personalization. The big idea still counts, and we need to distribute that in a way that feels relevant to me. Why? Because mobile is the most personal device that we've ever known. We need to stop marketing at people and start marketing for them. We need to stop thinking in terms of products and start thinking in terms of stories. So this is EE, one of our UK telco clients. And they came to us with an objective of increasing their website conversions. All we did was we just simply targeted people who were interested in sports, people who were interested in The Voice, and people who lived in London. And on top of that, we just tailored the creative in a very specific way. And as a result, we saw a 40% increase in ad effectiveness, a 2x increase in view rate, and a 2x increase in overall website conversions. Now, the key takeaway that I want you guys to remember is there are some really simple and straightforward ways that you can make more relevant content and feed these into your existing production plans with minimal additional costs or labor. The other thing I want you guys to remember is you need to pivot and you need to move fast. We need to grasp the speed at which this thing is moving. Your foreign currencies, your markets, they're all moving just as fast. And your consumers expect change, and so must we. Here is 24 Option taking full advantage of the Apple's iPhone 6 release. All they did was it was just another simple example of tailoring the creative that your customers expect and they want to see it. Another example is Markets.com. Markets.com targeted all Arsenal fans on Instagram, to reach more and more people cross-platform. So, moving on. The final challenge that we see that you guys are faced with is measurement. And our measurement solutions are evolving quickly. And we know that within trading companies, measurability is critical. With more data we have tied to true identity across more devices, measurement systems can evolve to focus on people and not their proxies. So how do you measure the impact of your ads? Understanding impact, well, requires people. The shift to mobile devices makes the world for marketers and you guys more efficient, yet so much more complicated. Why? Because people are using multiple devices all day long. We know that 60% of people use 2 or more devices per day. We also know that nearly 25% of people use 3 devices every single day. So what happens if we only focus on cookies in a world that is dominated by multi-device users? We simply overstate reach and understate frequency. GfK have stated that 75% of people have more than 1 cookie. 15% of people have more than 10 cookies. If we take a look at our ad server solution, Atlas, we can see that reach is overstated by 30% and frequency is understated by 23% when we use cookies. The solution is people-based measurement. People-based measurement is crucial and is the crucial foundation for your advertising effectiveness. You know, people-based measurement allows us to tie real people to the right device. And with people, we can measure real business outcomes and not their proxies. And as a result, we can understand the added values of Facebook for you guys to make better marketing decisions going forward. Now, as we hop back into our DeLorean and we look to the future, we are placing 3 big bets. The first one is artificial intelligence. So we are working on building systems that understand the world like people do. With virtual and augmented reality, we are building the next generation of computing software platforms for you guys. And what I think most excited about is internet.org. We are working on connecting the entire world to the internet through internet.org. Since the launch of the project, we've actually connected over 15 million people to the internet. These guys never had the internet before. And we know that 1 out of 10 of those people will be lifted out of poverty as a result, just by getting basic access to information. So here's a great video I have in relation to internet.org, so enjoy.
The way the world works is changing. We used to live in an economy that was primarily resource-based, which meant that if I owned something, you can also own the same thing. But the future of the world economy is a knowledge economy. Me knowing something doesn't prevent you from also knowing it, because we can share knowledge and information. Imagine a world where everyone had access to education and healthcare information, a world where farmers could look up information to improve their crop yields and students could consult Wikipedia to help out with their homework. The internet is really the backbone of the knowledge economy. If everyone had access to those basic tools, we'd all be able to benefit from all of the innovation and creativity and ideas that everyone had. Our plan is to make basic internet services affordable so that everyone with a phone can join the knowledge economy. In order for this to be economically feasible, we need to make the internet 100 times more affordable. And we can do this through a combination of 2 things: reducing the cost to serve that data by 10x, and reducing the amount of data by 10x as well. First, to reduce cost, there are going to be a lot of things that we do, from building out infrastructure that makes signals travel farther so that way we don't have to build out as many cell phone towers, to cleaning up the airwaves and using spectrum more efficiently, to building out low-cost, open-source hardware and phones. And second, we also need to reduce the amount of data to supply these basic services, and we think we can do that in a few ways. First, We can just make our apps cache data instead of having to request data every time that they want to look something up. And second, they can compress the data, so they only have to transfer 40% of the data that they would otherwise have to if it weren't compressed. When I was getting started with Facebook, I could build it because I had access to the internet and a few basic tools that gave me what I needed to build this for the world. And if we can get to a point where everyone around the world has access to those same tools, then everyone is going to be able to benefit from the innovation and ideas and hard work of billions of people around the world.
Okay. So as I begin to wrap up, I just want all you guys to be aware of where your customers and where your potential customers are most engaged. And we know that 1 in every 5 of your potential customers are most engaged across Facebook and Instagram. And finally, I want to bring it to your attention, there is a huge untapped mobile opportunity for you guys. The global media spend does not reflect where people actually spend their time on a daily basis. In 2015, only 2.5% of the global media spend will be spent on mobile. And this despite the fact that we know people spend 25% of their time on mobile. On top of this, we know that only 30% of all trades happen on mobile. So this is a huge and tremendous opportunity that we can unlock for you guys. And I am extremely excited and looking forward to joining all of you on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. If anyone has a question you would like to ask, we have a microphone. If not, I'm sure Jason will be around. You'll be able to catch him here in the exhibition or later on.
Yeah, so I'm here with 2 other colleagues, so we'd be more than happy for you guys to approach us. Okay, here we go. Question?
Jason, you obviously have some experience in Facebook more than anybody else.
Bringing your mic.
Thank you. How would you see the attitude of the FX and in general the financial markets changing towards mobile in, say, the last year or two? Where is the dynamic here?
Okay, so everybody heard the question? Yep. So it's interesting. So over the last year, we've been working with a number of different clients, and some of them have, transitioned to mobile, made the transition to mobile relatively quick, and are seeing the results and are not looking past mobile. Those who are desktop, and I know there's a couple of guys here today that I've already spoken to who are, still waiting for their mobile strategy to pick up. Again, I said in the beginning, I don't want to say that they've been left behind, but they're certainly seeing the struggle. So yeah, I mean that's all I can really give you. As we look forward, we look to 2020, I think 80% of the world's population will have a smartphone. So that's only 5 years away. So, if you're not thinking about your mobile strategy, you most certainly should be. Yep. There's a microphone.
That very interesting little chart you showed, which I found really surprising, with the mobile down as a tiny portion. At a guess, obviously, where would you expect that to be in, say, 5 years' time?
So at the moment, it's only 2.5%, despite people spending 25% of their time on mobile. In 5 years, with 80% of the people having smartphones, I believe that to be significantly higher. I don't want to put a figure on it because it's a shot in the dark. I think everybody can. Sorry, yeah. But I think it most certainly will be much higher than that, based on what we know or where it's headed in terms of smartphones.